Perfect, perfect. Welcome everyone to our session today. Welcome to our retail media and agentic commerce session. I mean, it's really great to see that still so many people obviously interested in the topic of retail media, but also so many people came here because of the topic of agentic commerce. In today's session, we really try to give you like deep insights into the retail media world and deep insights also into agentic commerce, basically the next trend that is upcoming right now. And just in order to start the session, I would say there are like 3 questions right now that are coming up in every e-commerce boardroom, in every C-level meeting at an e-commerce company. And the first one is actually, how can I scale my revenues beyond the products that I have in stock? And this one is actually the marketplace conversation. So retailers who actually cracked the code, opened a marketplace, and were able to successfully scale it, they are now looking at hundreds of millions of GMV that they are generating basically every year. The second conversation is basically started like 13, 14 years ago back in the US. And it's basically about, we have so many people visiting our website, basically millions of monthly visits, so many impressions that we generate every month. Why are we not using it? Why are we not monetizing those? Why are we leaving like the ad revenue potential on the table? And this is the retail media discussion. I know retail media has been like a hype topic for quite some years, but now it definitely shows that there's a lot of retailers in the US, here in Europe as well, in Africa, all around the world, that were able to successfully build a super profitable revenue stream with retail media. And the last conversation can also be I would say, scary one to a certain extent. Because in the last conversation, we basically talk about, are AI agents taking over the whole customer journey for end consumers? And how does the retailer, how do I even fit in this whole construct in the end? And I mean, we know from BCG that in the US, within the next few years, 55% of all of the e-commerce revenue generated will actually be AI assisted. So that just shows the trend is already here. And I think everyone here in the room, no matter if it's an agency, no matter if it's a brand, no matter if it's a retailer, everyone needs to react on it. And we at Mirakl basically built the infrastructure for all 3. It started basically 12 years ago with our marketplace vision. So the biggest retailers in the world wanted to start their marketplace vision, for example, Macy's, for example, MediaMarkt as well, or Douglas here in Germany, and they used like our software in order to start this. Then 5 years ago, we also launched our own retail media solution. Now we have like over 50 clients, really focusing on relevancy, on personalization as well. And for the last bit for agentic commerce, we launched Mirakl Nexus as well. So making your product catalog easier to read for AI agents as well. But I just want to make like one thing clear up front. Like today's session is not going to be me just talking about like what Mirakl actually can do, but it's going to be about like one client from our side. And it's also going to be about one agency partner from our side. So the first part of the session, we will actually spend on the topic of retail media. And for this topic, I actually have a super special guest with me on stage today. So I'm super happy that he also had the time to join us. I mean, you have like a super interesting backstory, right? I mean, and I was also be able to be part of it, which made me like very glad in the end.
Been lucky.
Yeah. The good thing is he is actually doing retail media across 8 different countries in Africa for Jumia. Basically for the leading e-commerce platform in Africa, listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and basically successful in a continent where a lot of Western companies are struggling a lot or don't even try because they know it's so difficult to do. Romain, I think it would be super interesting actually for our audience to know a little bit more from you.
Dankeschön. Wie geht's?
Sehr gut, und dir?
Yeah, that's the only thing I can tell you in German. So, hello everybody, I'm Romain. So I joined Jumia 8 years ago. And 8 years ago, I started to focus on the marketplace. And last year, I started also to focus on retail media. That's my first time here in Hamburg, so I'm very excited, and thanks again for the invitation.
Yeah, good to have you. Good to have you. You just mentioned it, right? Like 1 year ago, you actually made a huge bet. This kind of bet of if it goes wrong, you have a lot of explanation to do to your board, to your CEO as well. Can you just tell our audience a little bit more what was this bet actually about?
Yeah, it was a scary moment. So around 12 months ago, we decided to change retail media platform. So we were struggling on with the previous partner. To tell you, so we are New York Stock Exchange listed, and for 6 months in a row, we were underperforming under our target. So we take the bold decision to change and to try Mirakl Ads.
And I mean, that's what also today's discussion is going to be about. Like your journey with retail media, what happened like in the last years, and why you basically came to a point where you're successful now as well. Huh?
Yeah, so 1 year later, we double of revenue, as you will see, in terms of year-on-year growth, quarter over quarter, 160% increase. And the idea here is to go in the detail, to tell you what worked, what was also uncomfortable, because that's not an easy decision to take. Yeah, and also to discuss about the challenge we faced.
Yeah. Quick question in the round here, like quick question to the audience as well. Who of you already knew Jumia before? Just put your hands up if you knew Jumia. Okay, a few people. So I guess you got some explanation to do. What exactly is Jumia and how do you guys operate?
Can you maybe show the second slide?
Yeah, absolutely.
It will be visual for you. Yes, this one. You can have, okay, we can stay on this one. So we are the leading e-commerce platform in Africa. 8 countries, North of Africa, East of Africa, West Africa. And we are a marketplace, okay? With some local sellers from Egypt, from Nigeria, and also with some overseas sellers, mainly from Turkey and from China, okay? We also have a part of retail, what we call 1P. And let's say that we have different kind, our different kind of seller. They are willing for our Chinese seller to have the best tools, and for our local seller to, have a bit more guidance. When it comes to sponsor product, so which is our biggest asset within the retail media, has been, let's say, included within the marketplace 1 year ago under my management. To give you some figures, we have around 40 people focusing on sponsor product. And for us, it's very important because it's a high revenue stream, high revenue margin stream for us. And also for our sellers, it's a huge growth engines.
Yeah. I think if you have a marketplace, SPA, sponsored product ads are basically a no-brainer in the end, right? And I mean, when we also started the partnership together, I think knowing that you have so many people on your side, that you actually have like 40 people working for you, 7 years like of experience, I think that really also showed us that you take the topic seriously. Yeah? And I mean, I know you already for quite some time now, and I know that you're like a very analytical guy, really like to go into details.
I try.
So, yeah. So can you just tell the audience a little bit what was actually broken on your side when we talk about retail media?
Okay, so the idea here is not to go too much in the detail. It was broken, not amazing. So we decided to switch to Mirakl Ads last year. How we did it? We had some criteria. The first one, and for me the most important, the seller experiences. We wanted to make sure that our seller will have the best experiences possible on the platform. The second one was the speed of execution. We took this decision, and it was like a few months before Jumia anniversary, which is our second biggest event of the year. So it was very important, and we could not miss it. And the last one, as I told you, we are New York Stock Exchange listed, so we had to be compliant, and it had to be compatible. Okay? And so, as I say, we went shopping. We met some players from Turkey, from Asia, from Europe. And at the end, we went live with Mirakl. We had been in touch with Mirakl for a few months before. We wanted to try another solution. And I think that at the beginning, we felt comfortable because Mirakl, they approached us and they tried to focus on our specificities. Okay, and that was something quite important for us.
Yeah, I think nowadays in retail media, it's extremely important that you find the right partner. It's not like a one-size-fits-all solution in the end. You need to have like a really special, tailored approach to actually you as a marketplace as well.
Yeah, and also what was important for us is that, as I told you, we have some Chinese sellers that are willing to have the best tool ever, and we have some local sellers, for instance, in Nigeria. They just need some guidance. So we had to find a tool that will answer both problems.
And I mean, every retailer here also in the room has like its own specificities in the end, like very special approaches, like certain seller bases and so on. And you need to be able to adapt on those. And this is also our job in the end on the retail media solution side. I mean, Romain, you also know, like we speak to a lot of other retailers as well. And I can tell you, like, there are also other retailers and marketplaces in the same position as you, working with a retail media solution, but not necessarily always happy with it. And I know, you said it as well, sometimes it can be risky to change. Sometimes it can be scary to change as well. But the opportunity cost is something you should definitely consider for it. Yeah? And when you actually think about the change now, because you had to migrate like a live revenue stream across 8 different countries, how did you actually go across with this? Like what main risk did you see for yourself?
I think for us, 3 main risks. The first one is a revenue one, short-term one, a revenue dip. Very important when you're a New York Stock Exchange.
100%.
The second one, and maybe you can show the second slide, it's about the tech risk, sorry. In terms of architecture, it's quite complex. We're operating on 8 countries. And again, what we need in Egypt versus Morocco versus Nigeria or Kenya is very different. So we had this risk of this, let's say, complex architecture. And again, we are not a Mirakl customer when it comes to your main marketplace platforms. Yeah. So we have this risk. And the last one is, let's say, it's a compliance risk due to the fact that we're New York Stock Exchange listed.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that you identified them, but honestly, you also have to tell us how did you approach those risks, yeah? How did you handle those?
Yeah, so I think 2 steps. The first one, and I prefer to be clear, for me it's the most important. Before any coding line, we met with Mirakl. We did a workshop. They went to our office. And we discussed with the finance when it comes to billing, currency integration. We discussed also with the business, so me and my team, when it comes to the currency, the report, the different flow also. We have a retail flow, we have the agency flow, we have the marketplace flow. And also with our tech team in terms of integration of catalogs, because we have 1,000 of millions of assortment live. The second one, the second step, let's say, is the go live. So we went live with Ghana. Why Ghana, you will tell me, is because it was a country where sponsor product was not very developed. And I think for us, it was an opportunity to take feedback with a lower risk. Okay? Once done, we went live by bucket of 2 countries. And within 6 weeks after the go live in Ghana, Mirakl Ads was live everywhere.
Honestly, I still think it's super impressive to do it so quickly, but you need a proper strategy for it, right? It's not that you decide tomorrow, oh, we're going to change, we're going to do it in 6 weeks. That's not how it's going to work. I mean, got to be honest with you, you need the right strategy behind it. You need like a measuring, you need like a learning phase as well in order to really see how you can bring this partnership to the next level as well. And I mean, you also mentioned a couple of times already that you're listed on the New York Stock Exchange, right?
Sorry for this.
Yeah, that means you have a lot of stakeholders internally as well. Yeah. How did you handle those stakeholders? Was it difficult?
To be honest, yes, a bit scary. Again, it was a new scope for me, so I was not that stressed because, I mean, I had nothing to prove. And, I mean, we knew that the results were not good, so we were hoping to do something better. And I was quite confident for this. Yeah. Okay? Yes. Yeah.
In terms of the numbers, did you see any dips in the numbers? Because obviously that was one of the main risks that you also described for yourself.
Yeah, so when it comes to the number, what we told to the management, we told them, please guys, for 3 months, 3 to 4 months, don't take a look at the revenue. You don't take a look at this. You look on the usage. You take a look at the number of active sellers, the number of active campaign, the seller feedback, the number of SKU live, and you focus on it. And I think that by doing this, it helps us to be a bit less pressured, and it also helps the team to be, let's say, more focused on the sub KPIs, which is the usage, which is for me the most important.
Yeah, 100%. I feel that it would be lie to say that there's no risk involved, right? It would be like an absolute lie. And maybe I'm the one approaching you like after the session saying, oh, why are you not switching from your existing retail media solution to Mirakl Ads? But I think I just want to make sure there's definitely a risk involved, but you need to make sure that you do mitigation on this risk, right? What I find extremely interesting is that you've also mentioned that you told your CEO, don't look at the revenue for 3 months. Kind of a bold thing. I wouldn't tell it to my CEO, like I wouldn't have the guts to it. But how did he actually like come across with this, and what else did you ask him to look at instead?
The fact is that the dip is real. We had a revenue dip for only a few weeks at the end. But for the short term, you know it will happen. So better to take the bold decision to change. So you renounce to the short-term revenue, but you're building your future. You're building something that will be permanent, and you will see it in the figures. Yeah. And maybe focus, as I said before, on the usage. That's the most important.
Usage, seller adoption, right? Like sellers becoming advertisers, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah. I feel like the point of like sellers or like brands becoming advertisers, that's the basis for a retail media network. Your retail media network is only as strong as the adoption rate that you have on your side. And whenever we speak to a retailer, we don't want to talk about 5, 10% adoption rate. We rather want to talk about 50, 60, 70% adoption rate from top brands in the end. That's how you will able to actually build this really like long-term growth coming from it. So I feel it's just super, super essential. So one question I think that's also interesting for the audience is, how were the metrics then moving on from this? After the dip that you saw, what was coming basically afterwards in the first few months?
Yes, I think I have a slide on this, something a bit more visual. Yeah, it's okay. Yes, thanks. So as you can see, we went live between May and June last year. So we had 1 month where we were slightly decreasing versus May. And after months, we have been slightly but surely growing. Then you will see in Black Friday, so which is November for us, a peak. Then you have the Christmas season. And what is interesting is that January is growing versus October, which is always the guideline and the baseline for an e-commerce platform due to the seasonality, sorry. And after March, April, we are overperforming where we used to be in Black Friday. So of course our platform is growing, but the revenue on sponsored product grow faster than the GMV of the company. And I think that for a company that publicly announced that Q4 this year will be profitable, that's a massive change for us.
Yeah.
And very important.
Yeah, 100%. Fingers crossed that it's going to work. I mean, exactly. Best of luck for that. When we actually look at the numbers also through this kind of like change in the end, is there anything else that came like across that was like very essential for you?
Of course, the number of active sellers, plus 25%. And I mean, week after week, the result keep being the best.
Yeah.
So we are always building on a new baseline, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's say now for me, it's not possible to focus on the year-on-year growth because we are more than 160% year-on-year growth.
Yeah.
So now I'm more focusing on my month-on-month growth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The right baseline.
Yeah. What do you think specifically saying, like in your case, what was the driver actually of this? Was
Magic.
It magic? Yeah, this is always good.
Now,
makes it easy.
The main one was the return on ad spend, so the ROAS. Historically, we used to be between 5 to 6. And since we changed, we went from this 5 to 6 to 9 to 10. That's a massive change.
Impressive.
For our seller, when they invest, they double the return on investment.
Yeah.
So what's happening is that they come back. And I have a figure, 70% of the sellers that try the platform for the first time are coming back. So we went from a push strategy where we had to call sellers on a daily basis to try the platform to a pull strategy where the sellers are coming by themselves. And I think that in retail media, that's the most important. You need to build, let's say, a platform where your seller will come by themselves.
100% makes your life a lot easier in the end, right? Just one thing I wanted to mention regarding the ROAS. ROAS is still, of course, for most brands, and I'm happy to hear also from the brands in the room, like after the session. But I feel it's the most important KPI when we talk about retail media still. ROAS, however, also has like a direct connection to the relevance of the ads. Only if the ads are relevant, you will have like a good click-through rate. You will actually see that people click on the products and also buy it afterwards. So simply, there's also correlation behind it. And in the end, if the ROAS is good, your brands, your sellers, they are going to stay with it as well. Anything else that you feel was like a driver for you?
I will say EI, but I think we'll go into detail slightly after. We have what we call the automated campaign. So basically, the sellers, they just set up their budget, and after everything is done automatically, let's say. Yep. And I think that was a massive change.
Yeah, maybe just one comment on this one. Because we also launched like a campaign automation, which is modular. And now we see that actually over 93% of all the campaigns at least automate one part of it. And most of the time, it's actually the keyword targeting. So it just shows, of course, you have like sellers who are maybe not that, how can I say it, like not that like well-versed when it comes to retail media. They are using the automation to maybe fully automate. But you will also have those Chinese brands who know retail media for a long time that maybe just automate certain things.
They ever know it better than me. Last year, I went to China to meet them, and I was impressed by their knowledge, very advanced. Also, just to maybe complete my answer, two other things were important. I think the partnership with Mirakl. I mean, on a weekly basis, it's basic, but we're having the talk. During Black Friday, I remember, Moritz, that we were discussing, and we are doing some adjustment on our CPC, which is something normally you don't do, but we had some nice feedback and some guidelines. That's quite important. And the last one, that's the focus. One of my ex-managers, he used to tell me, Romain, the more you take a look at a figure, the better it is. And I think that's essential. Every day, I take a look at the figures. Before this conference, I was focusing and reviewing the figures. And I think that by doing this, you focus not on the output, but on what will impact the output, which is the inputs. And I think that was a massive mindset change within Jumia.
Very wise words in the end, right? Like it's important to always have your eye on it. Something that you already mentioned before is very important to you is actually the topic of AI. How did it help you, like in your, let's say, like daily life or like in your work in general?
I would say we can split it in, in three. First, for the sellers. Now we have the platform, so they go on our vendor center platform. One click, they are on the platform 100% branded Jumia, so they don't even know that they are leaving the ecosystem of Jumia. Now everything can be, of course, English, French, but Arabic and Chinese now, which was not the case before. And for many years, our sellers were complaining. If we take Egypt, 90% of our sellers, they don't speak English. So we had a platform before where they used to do everything without understanding why they were doing it. Yeah. So I think that's a massive change for us.
Yeah, I think localization, especially across different countries, because we are also active in, I think, over 20 countries now with our clients, is extremely important. Because in order to make the boundary of entry easier, that will also help you to drive the adoption rates. I mean, it's simple as that, right?
Yes. After, you also have the automated campaign. So when it comes to automated campaign, maybe to be a bit more specific, you're a seller, you have a budget. You go on the platform, you set your budget. The SKU will be selected by himself, the relevancy also. They will have the visibility and the placement on site. Everything will be automated. So within a few seconds, you have your campaign live. And the results are way better than what we have with the manual campaigns. And I think that's very important because, for instance, a seller in Kenya now has the same feedback, the same guidance as the top mega seller in China.
Yeah, it's great.
Yes,
it's great.
Also, maybe for Jumia, in terms of configuration, sorry, that's a bit technical, but we have the CPC, so the CPC at category level. So we used to update it on a monthly basis. Now it's done automatically every second. So due to the algorithm, due to the AI. And I think that for us, that's a massive change. Everything is automated, no manual intervention.
Yeah, operational efficiency is so crucial if you're active across like 8 different countries.
Yeah, and the fact is that the net impact for us is that we are growing with intelligence and not headcount. As I told you, we have 40 people working on sponsor product, and last year I could not say to my management, okay guys, let's double the revenue by doubling the headcount. It was
Can be scary to a certain extent, right? But please tell us a bit more, what's actually on the roadmap for you, it's say like for the next few months and maybe the next year?
3 main topics. First one, the on-site expansion to have more placement where seller can sponsor their product. To also have the off-site expansion to use Meta Google, so we can use the unused budget on those platforms. Second, we have what we call sponsor brand. So sponsor brand is slightly different. Maybe you know it under a sponsor display. You offer your seller an alternative that is not only focusing on the conversion, but also on the awareness and consideration. And I think that with this, we will target new kind of sellers, so more the brand.
Yeah.
And the last one is, let's say, to build a kind of CRM for our seller to make sure that sponsor product is 100% included in the seller journey. Okay, from the first sales to the growing part.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, extending the funnel, clear strategy, right? I think like a lot of retailers here in the market also doing it. Very clear decision to go that way. Yeah? The second part of the session is actually going to be about agentic tomorrow, and I feel that's a topic where I think we, like a lot of people, are not sure, do they need to act, do they not need to act? What's your personal thought on like agentic commerce, on agentic tomorrow?
I think that Alena after will be able to go way more in the detail than me. But on this, let's take a shopper, okay? You as a shopper, Moritz, you will go on our platform, you will search for an SKU, okay? The algorithm will give you the most relevant SKU, so at the right moment and the right time for you, you will find this SKU. If we take an AI agentic, it will be exactly the same. Everything will work, let's say, based on the data. So I think that what is very important for us is the quality
of the catalog.
The catalog. What I didn't tell you before, but at Jumia, with our previous provider, the hundred of millions of assortments, they used to be refreshed once every 2 days. Now it's done once every 3 hours, and I'm confident that in the coming months it will be done every hour.
Yeah.
So the relevancy and the accurate data is, I think, for me, center in this.
Okay, but it's good that you also say, like, now is the time to act on it, right? That it's your kind of like takeaway. Huh?
Clean data for me is the base for agentic.
Perfect. I mean, Romain, it was really great to actually have you on stage today. Honestly, I find your story super, super exciting because obviously it's a very different market, right, in Africa. But ultimately, we're talking about the same challenges or very similar challenges, I would say. And that's why I also wanted you to share your story a little bit today. Before you get off the stage, do you want to share anything else, any last words with the audience?
No, first, thanks. And I think that, yes, 12 months ago, we took this decision. I think it was a bold decision at that time. When you see now the result, we are all impressed. And me the first, I didn't expect the revenue and the result to be that quick. So don't be shy. Take the decision. You will have, of course, a revenue dip at the beginning, but then you're building on the long term. So yeah. So again, thanks a lot, Moritz.
Amazing.
And thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for having you. Maybe big applause for Romain as well.
Thanks.
Thank you. Second. All right, as I promised, the first part of the session was on the topic of retail media, right? And the story that Romain was telling us, it's probably like one of the best cases I've also heard on my side. And that's why we also want to bring him on stage, right? He's like a very good example of how it works in terms of the right relevancy, in terms of the right measurement, the right how to use the reporting, and the right adoption in the end. However, the question we have to ask all of ourselves now, basically everyone here in the room, what does happen to his story to his relevancy, to his like sponsored ads, to his whole conversion funnel, if the shopper is not there anymore. If the shopper is basically not going directly to Jumia anymore. And that's going to be the second part actually of the session. Because this kind of trend is already happening in the market. AI agents taking over the shopper journey for consumers and basically are making like also purchasing decisions without visiting without the customer actually visiting or browsing a retailer website. And what happens in the end is that the AI agent is, of course, acting on behalf of the consumer, right? So the session, the scroll, the comparison, everything changes in the end. And we already know that 51% of Gen Z are starting their search journey for a new product on AI agents already. And as I mentioned in the beginning, BCG estimates 55% of the US e-commerce going to be agent assisted in a few years. So the topic is already here, and everyone here in the room, no matter if it's an agency, if it's a brand, if it's a retailer, if it's us as a software provider, everyone needs to act on it. So the playbook that we just described in the beginning and what Romain said regarding the catalog quality, regarding relevancy, that's still the foundation in the end. This is not necessarily going to change. But what's going to change is the roof on top of the foundation. And for everyone here, it's important to understand how is this roof actually built? How is this roof actually functioning as well? Because if we understand it now, we're going to benefit a lot from it in the future. And I have like a special guest with me today for the second part of the session, Lena from Havas, who is the channel lead organic and generative search. Do you want to come on stage?
Of course.
Who is an absolutely expert in the field, and I'm super happy that she actually had the time to also join us today. So Alena, welcome to the stage, and maybe you want to give a short introduction of what you're actually doing at Havas to the audience.
Yeah, thank you, Moritz, for the kind words and introduction, and thank you, Mirakl, for having me. I'm Alena Beutler-Tünnes. I'm actually not the channel lead anymore because this has just happened recently, but I'm the director of SEO and GEO for Havas Market, which is the performance part of the Havas Media Group. And I'm leading a team of 20 SEO and GEO experts, and we are helping brands being visible, being found, being chosen and trusted in like classical search surfaces such as Google search, but also generative search surfaces such as ChatGPT, Gemini, AI mode, you name it. And yeah, this is more or less my role.
Yeah.
I have kind of a different background because I'm originally a political scientist, so I'm not like the usual marketer roadmap, but I think because I've also worked a lot in NGO sector and in educational sector, I had to do a lot of different aspects, and I have some experiences in CRM and social media, in SEO, SEA actually as well. So I think with what's happening right now in SEO, it helps a lot because these barriers are breaking down and everything is more connected. So for me, it's quite helpful to have this background at this point.
I mean, in the beginning, you said that you take care of both actually, SEO and GEO as well, simultaneously. So for me, it sounds actually quite tough, to be honest. How is it for you, and like how did you have to set up your team internally for this?
I mean, the last 12 months were quite a ride. So honestly, it had been quite rough. We had to adapt like in a really fast pace because everything was developing so fast. With AIO going live and the clicks decreasing and AI mode coming, and it just went like one step after another. The playbook for SEO, as we've known it, just changed because with the AI zero-click surfaces, and I would lie if I would say that we knew from the beginning for what to do for every case. So we are in the early stages of developing how GEO works, and we had to discover that. I think we are quite lucky because we have this learn and scale and adapt system. So we are testing quite a lot with customers for their industries. And I think this helps a lot to like rewrite this playbook for SEO and like to discover what's working on GEO.
Yeah. And I mean, I also know you're taking care of this topic for like the biggest brands in the world, but really helps us like test and learn phase, right? Which is so extremely crucial at the current times, because no one knows yet how it actually works. But everyone needs to do their own learnings, and best to do their own learnings right now, right? Because now is the time to actually act on it.
Yeah, right now there's like an open window, especially organically speaking. And when I'm speaking with my colleague Michelle from SEA, and we are speaking with colleagues from the USA, she always tells me that organic is becoming even more relevant for the paid aspect. And we're at this point we're discussing how to manage like SEA and SEO and Geo and GA. I don't know what's becoming the term for that. Yeah. Strategy. Like how to navigate this through the funnel for the customer to make like the biggest impact, but also because with LLM ads, it's such an early stage where like SEO had been 1 year before. So we are figuring it out how to build this to get the best value for our customers.
Let's set the advertising part like a little bit to later in the session. But I mean, you have been in this role for also quite some time now already, and you saw the shift actually going from Google to like ChatGPT and Perplexity as well. Personally, how dramatic do you see this shift?
It's not yet the landslide, but I think it's significant. And Google still, as we all know, Google is still like the most relevant market shareholder in search. But I think what this like doesn't show, and this is what's becoming really crucial, is also what's happening inside this market share. What's happening in the Google environment, because this is so. These shifts are so extreme and so fast happening. So with not just the AIO and the AI mode, but also what's happening to the classical search with the sponsored ads, like from a SEO perspective, the SERP in the last year, the layout changed like drastically, and we see this in the numbers. So this is definitely a major change inside Google, but ChatGPT has a 900 million active users weekly, so this is not like a niche segment. It's kind of it's in the broad. Yeah. It's out there. It's everyone's more or less using it, and very differently at this point. But we can't neglect it. And I think one of the most or the major gaps that people are not like guessing is that you can't. We are so focused on clicks, like in the industry, and you can't measure the relevance of LLM and AI search phases with clicks, because this is not the metric anymore. This is not working anymore to measure the relevance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we also talked about this topic obviously yesterday as well, and I feel one super important part why you should not neglect, let's say, like the LLM traffic right now, is also the conversion behind it, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely true. I mean, we see this with the numbers that it's already happening. This is just like one example, but with another slide, the second one, I guess, you see some figures that show that AI shopping and AI commerce, Agentic Commerce, is already here. It's starting now. And it's a relevant part, and it's growing quite fast. So we have this kind of developing where everything's like developing smooth, and then it's going rapidly. Yeah. And I think we're like, it's not going to be a 2050 problem. It's like it's coming in the next years. Yeah. So I think this is something. The conversion rate is quite interesting, and I saw different studies. I've read so many studies in the last year and research papers. I've never done that since my university degree. So the conversion rate is quite impressive. Like I've also seen studies with around 37%, but like. These are definitely very niche dependent individual studies, but around 14% on average it's quite. It's real for LLM traffic.
It's impressive.
So it's impressive compared to like an average 3% on SEO at Google. So I think it's a relevant channel, even if the numbers in volume are not there yet, but the relevance is there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's just what I want to emphasize as well. The volume not necessarily there yet, but the traffic that's coming from it, super conversion driven, right? We talk about 14% compared to just 3%. So, I mean, honestly speaking, everyone who's neglecting it, you're kind of losing out here on the conversion in the end. Yeah?
And the growth rates are also quite impressive. So with several customers, we are checking like regularly the LLM traffic growth, and at this moment, it's around sometimes up to 800 or 1,000%. So it's growing massively.
Yeah, 100%. If you look at the brands that you also work together with, or sometimes also just see in the market, do you think they're ready for agentic commerce already, or is it sometimes just theoretical stage still?
I mean, generally speaking, I guess the most of us are unprepared for what's coming. There are like around 15 to 20% of our customers who are like early adopters, first movers. They are testing, they are measuring visibility, they are doing the audits, they are considering joining the ACP protocol. Like they are doing this math and they are building the strategies. Yep. And then we have around like the half of them, like 50%, who are like still waiting for kind of a signal that this is becoming relevant. I feel. I mean, they understand the shift. But I think there's like they wait for the starting like the sign, but it's already there. And then there's like some who think that this is a problem for 2050, and I think this is going to get an issue.
Yeah, this could become an issue for sure. If I'm actually talking about like marketplaces or retailers, and Romain, I'm actually looking in your direction as well. Super important topic, of course, because let's just imagine you have like 10,000 sellers on your side. As you said, 20%, they're the first movers. They're really taking care of making their products AI ready. The other 80%, they're kind of like diluting your whole product catalog in the end. So for a retailer, for a marketplace, and for Romain, I think it's important that you raise the bar for them, that you really take care of that everyone is doing their job in terms of the right product catalog quality.
Yeah, it's absolutely crucial. And I think if you just move to the next slide, the user journey is changing drastically and it's becoming way shorter. So in one of the next slides, I have this around, we are actually starting to see a phase where online shops are going to die. And it comes in 3 waves. And it comes especially with the change in the user journey. So the first user journey is an example how it's working right now. This is what customers are doing. 70% are using and including LLMs and AI in their search journey. So this is happening right now. And the second one is what's happening with LLM checkout when you do the research, the research, the comparison, and the checkout in one surface, for example, in ChatGPT. And the third one is when the autonomous AI agent is coming to your site, maybe it runs on its own, and then it's going to visit your site. And this is the shift from the internet of humans to the internet of agents. And we have to think our websites and more or less our whole models completely different.
Yeah, you want to actually explain this one a little bit more?
Yeah, this is like these 3 waves, the upcoming waves that we have to expect. The first one is happening right now, and the big danger is to become invisible in LLMs and AI searches. So there are like a few bullets. You don't have to write anything down because in the end you can get a checklist if you want to. But right now, this window for organic growth and organic positioning is there. And you always have to keep in mind that you are optimizing the training data for the next model that's coming. No? And we see, especially with ChatGPT 5.4 to 5.5, that the number of citations drastically dropped. So we see that there's like something happening in terms of these training data. So the right moment now to make the baseline is at this moment to like challenge this first wave. And for the second wave, more or less all aspects under the first wave are relevant. Plus you need the protocols if you want to participate in that. And I would recommend to do that. And the third one is when the agent is happening on your site, when it's not the human customer anymore. And then also the points under one are relevant, but then you have like specifically requirements technically to adapt with the AI agents. Actually, I guess yesterday or like a few days before, Google updated its web developer documentation, and they gave some recommendations on how to handle this third wave. And there are like 2 aspects which I found the most interesting. And one is that they are using quite a lot of screenshots. Mm-hmm. So they are very dependable on screenshots. I also like tested that for a few customers, and what we've seen is that if the cookie consent is like in the CI color and it's like a white color on the pink surface, the agent can't click and can't accept and can't like cross this layer to actually access the website. And the second one is that they are heavily dependent on internal search. So they're not using and navigating through the navigation and the menu. They are searching. And if your internal search is not like up to date, you will have an issue. So I feel for one of the most discussed issues on wave one is structured data. Then we're talking about internal search. These are like classical parts of the websites that in my experience from the last year were always kind of a bit neglected, and they became quite relevant in the last year,
But it's so crucial to actually understand those as well, right?
Yeah.
It's so crucial to understand on which kind of pieces you need to act right now in order to be AI or like agent readable in the end. And we actually have like one more slide prepared because I feel that's sometimes like the most urgent questions, like no matter here like at OMR or like the conversations we also had before, because for a lot of people, this all feels like a black box. You're not really sure what do I need to act on, what do I need to consider, and can you just tell the audience like a little bit more of what you see, what actually works, and what you need to take care of?
Like for the point where we are now, it's good content, it's readable content, it's structured data, it's to give the bots access to your website. Because if they can't have the data, they can't recommend you. For the second and the third wave, it will look a bit different. And for the third wave, when you talk about the agent, the AI commerce, the agent happening on your website, then the product data and the quality of the product data, like consistent data, consistent pricing, consistent high quality product data is key. For retailers, I would also say like a special USP to distinguish yourself. At this point right now, customers are expecting AI engagement opportunities on your website, on your shop, and they have to be good. I mean, this is also an opportunity for retailers if you think about like an agent monetization layer opportunity for customization. Amazon Rufus is doing it. I think not that perfectly. I think there's opportunity to do this better, but it's still developing, but it's developing fast. So we will be on a whole different point in the next half year. And the agent that's happening on your site autonomously, so he knows what kind of shampoo you use. Your shampoo runs empty every 4 weeks, so he just starts purchasing the shampoo that you usually use. What are like the criteria that the agent decides this on, and this is like what you see written down. It's the price and availability. There's also structured data, quite relevant. The delivery times and return policy, reviews and ratings, again structured data. So good product data, good structured data, cross-channel data consistency. Also, this is something that's quite important in terms of GEO, that social became so much more relevant, publisher became so much more relevant, and also like classical SEO and e-retail, everything's more connected. So this has to be thought through the whole strategy.
And just maybe one more point to add, because we also discussed it yesterday. It depends a bit on the localization as well, right? Because you said, like, for example, in the US, Reddit is also considered, which is not even the case really here.
Yeah. This is like one of the myths from the last year, that you have to do Reddit. And Reddit gained an increasingly amount of visibility also in classical search in Germany in the last year. But it depends on the industry, but if you go a little bit deeper and you start to monitor your presence in AI searches and LLMs, you see that social media is quite a relevant part, but for Germany, it's actually YouTube. It's not Reddit.
Okay. Super important, I think, to understand, right? Because you already mentioned in the beginning, the advertising part, right? The advertising part, I mean, already some platforms like ChatGPT, they're already testing it, actually. The question now is, what's going to happen with it? Because we saw like a similar approach also with Google in the past, right? They started with organic, then it took like 10 years until they switched to like the actual advertising part. But the ones who already knew what's organically happening, they also had kind of like a better seat when it comes to like advertising in the end. How do you see this trend on the LLMs in the end?
I think this analogy works perfectly also for LLM and AI visibility. So to be the first mover here, we definitely see it in the numbers with customers and test cases and also optimizations that we are running, that this is actually working, and you gain a lot of visibility there where the customers often now start their searches, and this is LLMs. So I think the early adopter position it's really important not to like wait and see, because this changes so drastically, and the pace is so fast that if you wait another year, the window is closed.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think, is agentic commerce actually killing retail media as well? Because obviously we talk about like advertising on an LLM now, but if the shopper in the end is not going to the website, of Romain, what's going to happen to his like retail media strategy?
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's not going to kill retail media, but retail media has to drastically reinvent itself, and it's going to be painful. So I think it's kind of a complex situation, because we don't know yet how users will adopt for agentic commerce. This will also be drastically different regarding cultures, no? So we see that there will be some industries, there will be some cultures who will be more resistant, and others will be like first adopters. But I think you have to, for the first 2 waves, you still have a lot of opportunities. And you don't have to have the strategy for agentic commerce at this point, but you need to ask yourself the right questions and really gain answers on a clear strategy on how to tackle this agentic commerce. And yeah,
Test and learn in the end, right?
Test and learn in the end, and because this whole ecosystem that we are talking about is based on a human doing the click and the human seeing the ad, and this is going to be different if the AI agent is going to do this for you.
Yeah. What's also actually interesting to understand is what's happening to on-site agents at retailers, right? Because ultimately this is also like a growing piece for a lot of retailers in the end. And what we're trying to do now at Mirakl is also try to enable like a layer of advertising on those on-site agents as well. Because in the end, our ads right now, they're already working on relevancy, they're already working on personalization. So it's kind of like the first step of what we can also then implement in on-site agents. So yeah, this point, if it's gaining like more, let's say more impressions, like also on a retailer, yes, you can definitely also monetize it.
Of course, I mean, you have the data. The data is there, and this is like the first step, no? And I guess to build good solutions for customers, because to be honest, like to search the catalog yourself and to have, or speaking SEO, to have a link list is not the ideal surface. The ideal surface for the customer is conversation, and this is also, we have to think in solutions in retail and on shopping sites, how to tackle that.
Yeah, just looking at the time, I think we can definitely take like one more question.
Yeah.
And I feel like one thing that's important for the whole audience to understand is, how realistic do you see agentic shopping in the next, let's say, 12 to 24 months?
This is why I say that if people think that this is a 2030, a 2050 problem, I guess they are quite wrong. This is going to happen in the next 2 years. It's going to start definitely with some niches, very specific cases. So this is where we're going to start. We see that groceries, drugstore, like these fast-consuming goods are going to be one of the first aspects. Travel is also quite interesting for agentic commerce because it's so individualized, no? But I think, like technically, I know that ChatGPT just put a hold on ACP. I guess Google is not going to do us this courtesy. I mean, they have to monetize at some point, and they have to do it fast. So we need to prepare. And for this development, it's going to happen in the next, I guess, 24 months at least.
Yeah. And what I actually mentioned before is quite interesting, right? Because it's different depending on the verticals, different depending on the category. So an example that you actually just brought up is consumables. In the end, for like a consumables, let's say like retailer, of course it's easier to act on it, right? The products are like a bit more simple, product descriptions are also more simple. But now let's just have a look at a fashion retailer. Different sizes, different kind of like length of products as well, different kind of fits. Product itself is going to be more difficult and also going to be more difficult to actually readable in the end. Plus, combine it with a 30% return rate. This is quite tough in the end, right?
Yeah, and so it doesn't matter if you're talking about LLM checkout, if you're talking about the AI agent, if you're talking about solutions on your website in conversational format. The main issue right now is not technology, because this is like this little gap is going to close soon. The main issue that we are talking right now is trust, and is customer trust. And no matter what you are doing on LLM checkout, on your site, if you're preparing for Agentic Commerce, we have to be careful with that, because there are also some studies that show that customers were quite optimistic using LLM for checkout, and after a few of bad experiences, this trust just drops. And to regain trust, that's problematic. So we have to be careful with that.
100% agree with you. Are those already your last words, or is there anything else you wanted to add to the discussion we just had?
I think something that's sometimes also underrepresented in this discussion is that in the last years we saw this trend that people tended to dupes, because why should I buy the original product if I can have the cheaper dupe on Temu? With Agentic Commerce, I think there's an opportunity and a window that this can change, because for me, I'm not going to let my agent just buy any shampoo for my hair, because maybe I have just some product, I'm used to it, I needed some time to figure it out. But if I trust a brand, I trust my agent to maybe purchase this product. And also, if I trust the brand, I trust the agent maybe to test another product from this brand. So branding and brand trust become more relevant in this Agentic Commerce era. So I think this is kind of an interesting connection and how to use that.
100%. Alena, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on stage with us today. I feel like the whole session today, no matter if we speak about retail media, no matter if we speak about Agentic Commerce, I think the time to act on it is definitely now. The time to test, the time to learn is now. And everyone who's basically not doing it, you might fall actually behind. And in a world which is changing faster than ever before, it is so extremely crucial to just stay on the ball and really be close to the trends that are happening. And we actually have one more thing prepared for you. Perfect, here it works. Because there's two things that we can share with you. One, from Alena, you actually prepared an Agentic Commerce readiness checklist. So it's like a checklist that you can actually download and then see for yourself how ready are you actually when it comes to the Agentic Commerce world. And then on your left side, basically, from Mirakl, you have a test your PDP. So basically, you can just put in your product detail page, and our site will analyze how geo-ready is this page actually. So just try it out. I will leave it on the screen. Try it out and see how good you actually prepared for it. But again, I just want to end the session with, I think now is the time really to move on this. Now is the time to test and learn. And everyone from the session, Romain, Alena, and myself, we're also going to be here afterwards. So if you want to have a quick chat, if you want to have a coffee later, or hopefully a beer later on as well, super happy to do so. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Moritz.